be new to the neighborhood. No, not that neighborhood. This neighborhood. Your new computer. It's more than just an appliance, you know. It can lead you to new and interesting challenges. New things that you've never seen before, and it's all completely under your control. Let's look at the parts of your new computer. This is the monitor. Looks a lot like your television, doesn't it? You could use your television if you wanted. But your monitor is specially designed to give you the best possible picture from your computer's output. This monitor's green. Colored monitors are also available. The monitor is a form of output. Output is anything which the computer sends to the outside world. We also need input. Without some form of input, we'd just have an expensive television. This is the keyboard. Except for a few special keys, it's just like a typewriter. The keyboard is one type of input. This is the central processing unit. It performs all the real work. It calculates, sorts, and stores data. This area is the RAM, or random access memory. It temporarily stores information sent to it by the CPU. When the power is turned off, everything in this memory disappears. Another type of memory retains its data when the power is off. This is it, the read-only memory, or ROM. As its name implies, ROM cannot be erased or changed. So, we have memory which never forgets but can't be changed, and memory that can be changed but doesn't remember permanently. We need a way to store our own information permanently, but in a changeable form. We'll use a disk drive. A disk drive is similar to a tape recorder. It stores information magnetically on a plastic film. But unlike tape, disk drives use round plastic disks in thick plastic envelopes. The envelope protects the disk from damage from fingerprints, dust, children, or animals. The disk envelope has some openings in it to allow the drive to read the information. When you're finished using a disk, put it in the external envelope to protect these areas. These are the basic components of your system. But there are other things you could have hooked up. A printer to give you hard copy. A modem which allows your computer to communicate with other computers, your neighbors all around the world. There are many other peripherals. These and many other peripherals allow you to... What's that? What's a peripheral? Peripheral is any device which is hooked up to a computer and which the computer controls. Now, as I was saying, a peripheral allows you to do many more things than just calculations or use information in the computer. It allows the computer to draw information from sources you wouldn't think of, like thermometers. Now, let's get your computer ready for action. Clear off a nice, comfortable table where both you and the computer will have plenty of space. Put your computer in its box on the floor near the table. Open it up. Inside, I'm sure you'll find a number of accessories. Take them out and put them aside for the time being. Now, all that should be left in your box is the computer in a plastic bag with anything that's connected directly to it, like the disk drives, and possibly some packing. Carefully lift the computer out, place it on the table, and remove the bag. Then put the drive off to the side like you see mine. And we're pretty much set there. You can take the cover off if you'd like. Now, among all the other accessories, you should find a video cable, like this one, and a power cable, like this one. They may have been left connected to your computer or your monitor. By the way, if you're using an RF modulator, hook it up to your television now according to its own instructions. Put your monitor where you'll be able to see it well. I suggest on top of the computer. And take your video cable, and right here on the lower left-hand corner you'll see jack labeled video out and just securely press it into place. And plug the other end to the video in on the monitor. Now you can take your video cable, or your power cable rather, but before you plug it in, make sure that your power switch is off. Then plug the power cable in. We plug them in this order so that the computer will be grounded before any power goes to the current. Any current goes to the power supply. And then take the monitor cable, followed by the power cable, and plug them into a 3-pronged grounded outlet. Please do not use any adapters. If you have to use an extension cord, make sure it's of the same type. Now turn on the monitor and reach around on the left-hand side near the plug to the power switch and turn it on. As you can see, the disk drive starts whirring and spinning and the light goes on. To stop that, we hold down the control key here on the left-hand side of the keyboard and press the reset key on the upper right-hand side of the keyboard. It'll sound a beep and then we'll be in the programming mode. Don't worry about programming right now. There'll be plenty to do here without programming for the time being. Now, as you can see, we have our prompt and our cursor. But we have no information. We can't get anything from the disk. So take your system master out of the box. Open the disk drive door if it isn't already. And with your thumb on the disk, over the label, gently slide it into the drive and close the door. Now we have the disk in the drive, but we don't have any information in the computer yet. We have to get the disk operating system, or DOS, off of the disk and into the memory of the computer. Here's how we do that. Type P, R, number sign, that's the same as Shift 3, and the letter 6, the number 6, and hit return. The disk will start to spin again. Load the disk operating system, and in a second you'll have this screen or something like it. Notice we have our prompt on our cursor again, and we can now begin to use the computer. The first command we're going to look at is catalog. Catalog tells us exactly what's on the disk. Don't worry about the disk volume right now, it's unimportant. Now you'll notice all the way on the left is a star, or asterisk. This tells us that the file is locked. A locked file can't be erased or chained. We'll be looking at locking and unlocking a little bit more closely later. Next to the star is a letter. That letter tells us what kind of file we have. A is an AppleSoft file. I is an integer file, which is another form of BASIC. You can't run integer files unless you have a 64K Apple system. T is a text file. That's just information that another program would use. B is a binary or machine language file. Binary files are very interesting. They can be data like a text file. They can be programs like A or I files. Or they can be subroutines like copy.obj0. A subroutine is a small program which can only be run by another program. They will not run by themselves. Next to the letter are a series of numbers. The numbers tell us how many blocks or sectors are taken up on the disk by the program. The disk operating system that we use today, DOS 3.3, has 16 tracks, 35 tracks and 16 sectors. Tracks are like the rings of a tree, and sectors are like wedges in a pie. so that we have 560 blocks. And lastly, we have the name of the file. Now you'll notice at the bottom we have a cursor but no prompt. This tells us that the computer is waiting for a single input, such as a space bar. As you can see, it shows us the rest of the catalog. You may have noticed that the first file on the catalog was called Hello. The Hello program is very important and very interesting. DOS 3.3, as was 3.2, is written so that the first program that's saved on the disk will be run immediately when the disk is booted. It was the Hello program of this disk that brought up what we saw at the top of the screen when we booted it. Would you like to take a look at it? Type list, L-I-S-T, and hit return. Now that's probably just a little bit too fast for you to read, but we can adjust for that. Type speed, S-P-E-E-D, equals 0. Press return. Now if we list again, it lists much slower than it did before. Now while we've got it listing so slow, it might be a good point to show you that you can stop a listing by holding down the control key and hitting the S. This will stop the listing at the end of the line and wait for another key to be hit before it continues with its listing. If you want to stop a listing permanently, hold down the control key and hit reset. But if you use speed in this way, be certain to reset it to its maximum value of 255 when you're finished. In this way, programs will execute at their proper speed. I'm sure that very soon you'll find a setting of speed that's most convenient for you in your listing of programs. Now, try something else. Type new, N-E-W, and press return. Now type a list. The program that was in memory is gone. The new command erases the RAM memory, but nothing else. The program's still safe and sound as long as you saved it to the disk. To do this, you would type save and a program name. Don't do this right now, since we have nothing in memory. The opposite of save is load. Let's load a file called copy A. Type load copy A. Note that copy A is one word. If there are spaces in a program, or a lack of them, you must be very, very careful to type them in properly. The disk drive will start to spin when you hit return, and after a short while the prompt and the cursor will return. It doesn't appear to have done anything else. If you were to list right now, you would see that the program was now in memory. I might also mention that load automatically does a new for you. The only time you would actually use new is if you were going to write a program of your own. We can run the new program just by typing run and hitting return. We won't hit return at the moment. Let's pretend that we hadn't loaded copy A so that we can see the other way to run a program. Type run, the name of the program, and hit return. Now in just a moment, we have the screen. Notice that it offers you a default of 6. Since the disk drives were installed in slot 6 by the technicians at the store, this is correct. So hit return. We're going to copy from drive 1, so once again, hit return. Copy drive will also be in slot 6, and a return again. Now we have to make a decision. If you have one drive, wait just a second. If you have 2 drives, hit return here and accept the 2. Put a blank disk in drive 2 and the system master in drive 1. Now give me just a second for me to catch up the OneDrive users. For those of us with OneDrive, life is more difficult. When you see the default equals 2, type the number 1. Put the system master in the drive. If we wanted to copy some other copyable disk, we'd put it in now. Hit return. 2 drive users will note that the drives are working. OneDrive users will be told to put in the disk they want to copy. If you have 1 drive, hit return. If you have 2, just sit back and relax. You won't have anything much more to do until the program is finished. After a short while, it'll ask you for your copy disk. Find a blank disk, such as the blank Apple disk that came with your system, and put it in the drive. Close the door and press return. At this point, the disk is being formatted. What's formatting? A disk straight from the factory has nothing on it, not even a means for the computer to find information. That is the tracks and sectors we talked about a minute ago. Formatting puts these signposts on the disk. After it's formatted, it'll put the disk operating system and perhaps a little more information onto the disk. It then asks us to return the original to the drive. And press return. The program will ask us to change the disk several times. The computer has only about 48K of memory. The disk drives store 143K. Some of the 48K is taken up in overhead. Even if you have a 64K system, you won't have much more. Therefore, the computer has to copy information into its memory, hold it while you change the disk, and then copy it to the disk. Now, I apologize to the people with 2 drives who are watching this at the moment, but I want you to understand what you're gaining by having them. By this time, your machine should be finished, and there'll be a message on the screen. Please wait till the rest of us catch up, and then I'll explain all about the message. As you can see, when it's finished, it asks you if you want to make another copy. For the moment, tell it no. Just an N and a return is enough. You'll notice we have our prompt and our cursor back now. If you have 2 drives, type catalog, D1 to set the drives back to drive 1. Otherwise, it'll look at drive 2 for all its information. Now, take the new system master that we just created and put it in drive 1. Now, just to make sure it copied properly, we're going to access the disk. Type unlock phone list. Now, once again, type catalog. Hit return to get to the end of the file. Notice that the star is gone from next to phone list. Phone list is now unlocked and can be erased or changed. This is a lot to go through if you just want to store a new program. We can format disks for our own use much more easily. Load a program into memory. For this one, we'll use hello from the master disk. Type load hello. Now open your disk drive, put in another blank disk, and close the door. Type init hello. Similarly to the beginning of the other program, init puts sectors and tracks on the disk, puts the disk operating system on the disk, and stores the hello program in memory on the disk, so that when the disk is booted, the hello program will run. As you can see, hello is the only program on this disk. We can use the space on it for our own programs or those of other people. Now, our own programs are, it's a little obvious in terms of how we get them on. Other people's are something else entirely. But we have a program to help us with this. Put your system master in the drive now and call up the catalog again. You'll see right here a binary program called FID. FID stands for File Development. We'll get our cursor back. We can try to run FID. I'm going to pause for just a moment while you try that. As you can see, when you tried to run FID, it gave you a file type mismatch. It was telling you that you can't run a binary file. To run a binary file, simply type brun and the name of the file. This tells the computer that it's working with a special type of program, a binary program. Here's the first menu of FID. FID allows us to do many things we can do directly from the cursor. We can verify files, which we haven't mentioned, delete files, lock and unlock files, or get a catalog. In addition to that, we can reset the slot and drive, which will be useful to the 2 drive users. We can, of course, copy files, and one of the most useful options of FID, we can get the space on the disk. Let's take a look at the space on the system master. Type 3 and hit return. It asks us what slot we're using and what drive. Then looks at the drives. It will assume slot 6 and drive 1 until we tell it to reset the slot and drive. Now, as you can see, the system master, the one we just created, has 49 sectors free. In other words, 49 places where we can put our own information, and 511 sectors in use, places where the program is in. Now, in comparison to this, put the newly initialized disk in the drive, press the key to continue, take the space on disk once again. As you can see, it didn't ask us what drive we wanted. It tells us that we have 490 sectors free and only 70 sectors in use. Let's look at the copy feature now. Type 1 and hit return. Copy is a little different. It asks us what drives we want because it requires a copy drive and a source drive. We're going to tell it that the source is in slot 6 and on drive 1. The destination is slot 6, but once again it's drive 1. Now we could just type the name of a program and it would take the program from the disk, probably the system master at this point, store it in memory, and then put it on the disk that we wanted. So for example, for FID, we could just type FID and hit return. We won't do that. We're going to type an equals sign. Equals tells the computer that we want everything on the drive. Now it will copy everything if we tell it no, that we do not want to be prompted. We don't want to be asked if we actually want to copy something. We're going to tell it yes. Once again, just a Y for yes is enough. Reminds us to put the disks in the drive. Tells us to specifically put the source disk in the drive. Do this now if you haven't already. And press the key. It comes up with the first file. We can either tell it N for no or Y for yes. Since we've already copied this file, we'll tell it N for no. It tells us the file's canceled and brings up the next one. Let's tell it that we want the file animals. It'll load the file and ask us to put in the blank, or rather the initialized blank, and then press the return key. After it's finished copying, it asks for the source disk again. And we're going to tell it no from here on. And it brings us back to the main menu, where we have one option left, option 9. Now, we've looked at everything there is that you need to start out using your computer. I just have a few final words to say before you go home to use your own machine. Please keep a pad of paper near your computer in order to take down notes or questions that you might have. If you run across something which seems very important to you, call your dealer immediately. Otherwise, wait until you get 2 or 3 questions. Call and ask them all at once. I'm sure someone will be very glad to answer them for you. My name's Dion Marshall. I'm the product training manager here at Berliner Computer Center. If no one else can answer your question, ask for me, please. And just as a reminder, our phone number is 775-4700, and the area code is 516. Enjoy your computer.